I still have to use radio, news, read the newspapers, know what's going on in the world and so forth, because if I don't, I just automatically float up. And if you would ask me questions, I'd look at you and just smile. Because there are really no answers to the questions you're asking. You're asking me, well, why shouldn't we be limited the way we are? Why shouldn't we have all these troubles? Why shouldn't we have this heavy body? Why shouldn't we suffer? Why shouldn't we? That's the way every question that you put to me sounds like. And in the early days, that was the way I used to ask questions, answer questions. I wasn't even aware of it until an awfully sweet girl who worked with her husband at the Valley Verde School said to me, "Oh, Lester, you're so rude." I said, "Am I?" She said, "You certainly are." And I didn't know why, and so I had to ask her, why? She said, "I just asked you a question a few minutes ago, and you looked at me and smiled. You didn't even answer me. Then I asked you a second question, you did the same thing. Then I asked you a third question, you did the same thing. That is rude." And I said, "Gee, she's right, but I still don't think it's rude." I said, "Could we ask them over again?" She didn't want to. But I did try to answer her questions more so, and then I came back. This happened in Phoenix in a restaurant. I came back to Sedona. I asked closer ones, "When you ask me questions sometimes, do I just look at you and smile?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Why didn't you say something about it?" This was Reverend Lindsay. He says, "Oh, I understand." And another fellow told me the same thing. And it was only then that I realized I was not answering the great majority of questions, but I was answering, see, from where I was coming from, with a smile. That smile is so worth that perfect being. Of course, when you project that to the other person, it tends to lift them. But of course, I couldn't lift them high enough to agree with me. And so they wanted an answer down in the pit. So I had to learn how to talk pit language again.
That's good.
And
so this is all pit talk, huh?
Is that when you moved to New York, Lester?
what?
Is that when you moved to New York?
Oh no. That was back in the early 60s. I began, I think it was really 68, I began watching TV. Hour in, hour out, one program after another, until I could get my first feeling. And when I got the first feeling, I got a little tear in the corner of my eye. I just jumped up and I applauded. But it took me until 1968 before I could do that, from 52 to 68. Now back in 52 I knew I would be doing what I'm doing. I had the whole picture. When you're there, there's no time. You can see back a million years, forward a million years, or tomorrow. But I saw the picture and I knew I needed to come back, and it took me 18 years to get into the realm of thinking this, whereas it took me 3 months to get out of it. See, this is beingness, this is thinkingness. This is more of doing this. You're quite active there. And incidentally, when you dream and you see your body, that is your astral body. And that astral body is the matrix for the physical body. So it looks exactly like it.
Matrix means what?
Matrix?
Center?
Mater, mother. It's the mother of this body, it forms this body. And down here we think we have to have in order to be. We start gathering the infinite universe back together by trying to own one plot, then more and more and more. And then when we think we have the world like some of our leaders do, they want to take in the moon. And this week NASA was talking about Mars. They think the Russians will probably get there before us. If you get Mars, then you want the whole solar system. After that, you want the rest of it, when you're in the realm of having it. So when you're in havingness and you start to do, it moves you up towards the astral. Now there's a difference between here and here. When we're up in that top state, we're up there in sort of a passive way. And when we run the gamut of all this, we come back to it in a positive way. I think the best way I can explain that is like sickness. If you're born healthy and you're healthy all your life, do you appreciate sickness, health?
Take it for granted.
You like it, it's nice, but you're not aware of the value of the health. However, when you're sick for a decade or two or three, and then you become healthy, you will always appreciate the state of health. That's a positive knowing of what is health. Whereas if you're born healthy and remain healthy all the time, it's a passive knowing of what the state of health is. So when we run the gamut, we go out no more. Because why live in a hell? And that's the state we're in here. The most limited, the most hellish state beings can ever get themselves into. Because we're down here, we have a tremendous advantage. When you're in hell, the advantage is the incentive to get out of it. And we're plagued with it. Peppered, like with bullets all the time to get out of this state. And because of that, from here, we can go straight all the way back home, when we so decide. Now I'll tell you this, once you get up into these nicer realms, you'll take eons to go all the way. Things are nice. Everything falls into line. You're conscious of the fact that you're going up without incentive to do it. And so the old programs hang on and keep us in this nice state for eons. And yet we're never fully comfortable in any of these states until we get back there. We are always prodded by the memory of what it was at the beginning. So to avoid the endless, you see, when you're in these states, you're highly sensitive. The majority of the time, everything is wonderful, but when things are not, you feel them far more intensely than you can feel now. Your feeling is totally concentrated on whatever that feeling is.